Today, Prime Minister Dean Barrow announced that the government of Belize has arrived at a settlement with Fortis Corporation over Belize Electricity Limited in June 2011. The government of Belize announced a decision to acquire the majority shares in BEL, then held by Fortis of Canada, as part of its policy that would ensure that the major utility companies in Belize, BEL, BTL, and BWSL, would be majority owned by government on behalf of the Belizean people. Since then, Fortis has been legally resisting the takeover, with its claim reaching the Caribbean Court of Justice for a decision. After the June 2011 acquisition, government also initiated a move to amend the Constitution so that future governments would be unable to privatize or sell majority shareholding in these companies. Fortis held about 70% of BEL shares and claims over $310 million Belize as compensation for these shares. But today, Prime Minister Dean Barrow announced that the settlement is even near that ballpark, but considerably less. The government of Belize will pay Fortis Corporation $35 million that would come from government's consolidated funds.
As compensation totality for GOB's original acquisition of all of Fortis's 70% shareholding in BEL, GOB will now pay to Fortis $35 million in cash, 70 million Belize dollars, and GOB gives back to Fortis a 33 1/3 shareholding interest in BEL. Government keeps the rest of the 70% it had acquired, and together with SSB, which has something like 26.9%, we will continue to own well in excess of the 51% mandated in the Constitution and required for majority ownership and control. We expect the new arrangement to serve BEL and Belize well. Fortis's long-established multinational role in energy generation and distribution, plus its familiarity with our local circumstances, should contribute greatly to BEL's further advance and development. Their expertise and resources will also help Belize in its quest for energy security and sustainability. In particular, Fortis's interest in renewables, especially solar, can no doubt ultimately redound to our national benefit.
Since our initial involvement in Belize in 1999, Fortis has grown dramatically. Our assets are now totaling more than $28 billion Canadian, and we serve more than 3 million customers across North America and in the Caribbean. Most recently, we purchased Tucson Electric Power, which supplies electricity to the city of Tucson, Arizona. So we believe that the extensive operational experience and technical resources that Fortis has will prove very valuable to the country of Belize. In conclusion, I'll share a short story with you all. At one point in our negotiations, the Prime Minister referred to me as the Shiloh. I have to admit, I did not know the meaning of the word. I did look it up, however. It's a biblical term, and it means one who brings peace. Prime Minister, I hope that what we've done today will be the start of a long and peaceful relationship between Fortis and the government of Belize.
But before the government makes the payment, Prime Minister Dean Barrow has to follow procedures. First, he will introduce a bill at a special House meeting on Wednesday in Belmopan, where it will go through all its readings. It will then go to the Senate on Friday, and by Monday it is expected it will be signed by the Governor General, and payment would be made by Tuesday. But if the settlement and partnership turns bitter in the future, Prime Minister Dean Barrow says that they were also able to agree on an opt-out.
After 4 years, or earlier, upon the happening of certain specified events, Fortis can serve notice that it wishes to sell back to GOB its 33 1/3% shareholding. GOB then immediately reacquires, but will have 2 years to pay pay for that reacquisition on the basis of the value of the shares at the time of the buyback. To complete the circle, GOB has undertaken that Fortis will be completely free to continue without let or hindrance to lawfully operate BCOL, its other wholly owned interest in Belize. Truly then, this is a turning of the page, a revitalized partnership with Fortis on the accepted basis of majority Belizean ownership of our essential electricity utility company.
As for the dynamics of who will now run BEL, Prime Minister Barrow shared that Fortis will have 3 directors on the board, and with the board will also have GOB and SSB together will have 9 directors. The chairman of the board will continue to be Senior Counsel Rodwell Williams. Fortis representatives will include the CEO of BCOL, Lynn Young, the former president of the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Kay Menzies, and one of Fortis's president, Earl Ludlow.
The Chamber and GOB have had their differences, but when it comes to Ms. Menzies, not as Chamber President or ex-Chamber President, Ms. Menzies, the individual, the personality, she is phenomenally bright, absolutely quick, and very much pro-Belize. I, therefore, was happy to say to Mr. Perry that I think Ms. Menzies' membership on the board will see her putting forward a stellar contribution. In terms of Lin Young never had a difficulty with the company. He had a difficulty with GOB because GOB acquired at the time. He is, as far as I know, a consummate professional, and I certainly don't anticipate or understand why there should be any problems in terms of Lin's new role. But perhaps you want to ask him.
Mr. Young, how do you feel being back on the board, if not at the helm, of BL, and will you be do you foresee being an adversarial tenure?
Well, first of all, right, you have to separate the ownership of a company from the management and what the management is trying to do. I don't know if it was you, but when I left BL, I was asked what's going to happen at BL. And my response was I expect BL to continue to do well because there are good people in BL. I spent roughly 30 years at BL, and myself and all the older folks who've retired, Belizeans, who work to build that company, none of us want to see that company go down. We would never want to see that. So, you know, as long as I'm able to assist BL, I will.
In the past, when Fortis held majority shares in BEL, the relationship with the Public Utilities Commission was very sensitive. Back then, Fortis believed that the PUC was in its way. Barrow says that Perry has come to acknowledge PUC's regulatory role.
This is a completely different situation. Then Fortis was the majority owner of the company. There's nothing in the agreement which will be fully disclosed, which will be attached as a schedule to the bill we're taking to Parliament. There's nothing in the agreement that requires us in any way to even attempt to fetter the PUC. Mr. Perry understood quite clearly from the start that our PUC is independent and operates under and according to a particular law in this country. Mr. Perry and the people at Fortis are, of course, brilliant business persons, and they would no doubt have done their homework in terms of BL and would have recognized that profits have surged from 3.1 million at the year end 2011 to 36.2 million the highest ever at year end 2014. This is even as the PUC mandated a fall in electricity rates from 44.1 cents per kilowatt hour in 2011 to 35 cents in 2015, a 20% drop. Point I'm making is that even with the PUC's regulatory role, this company has made tremendous progress under the stewardship of the current board and the current CEO. We don't, Mr. Perry can speak for himself, but we don't expect that Fortis's membership on the board and its 33 1/3% shareholding will in any way interfere with, retard this magnificent trajectory that we've seen from BL.
Fortis also owns and operates BCOL, which generates and sells hydroelectricity to BEL.